Hi, you are listening to the Loretta Nash Show, and I am reading from I'll Take My Stand by 12 Southerners. It's a collection of articles and theses, and I am reading Reconstructed but Unregenerated, Part 6. About to start it. And yes, I am Southern, so that's why I'm doing this, because I wanted to, basically. Okay, this is part 6. Okay, and now the crisis in the South decline has been reached. Industrialism has arrived in the South. Already the local Chamber of Commerce exhibit the affordable data for Southern progress, and a considerable considerable party of the Southern opinion, which might be called the New South Party, is well pleased with the recent industrial accomplishments of the South and anxiously for many more. Southerners of another school might who might be said to compose an Old South party are apprehensive lest the section become completely and uncritically devoted to the industrial idea precisely as the other sections of the Union are. But Reconstruction is actually underway. Tried polities politically and economically to the Union. Her borders wholly voluble, val, vol, voluble. The South now sees very well that she can restore her prosperity only with the com- competition of an industrial system. After the war of the southern plantations were often broken into smaller farms. These had yielded less and less of a living and said that they would never yield a good living until once more they were integrated into large units. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, because some of my family had big plantations and stuff, and now they don't. I don't. Okay, but these units will be industrial units controlled by the board of directors or an executive rather than a squire, worked with machinery and manned not by farmers living at home but by labor. Well, my grandpa was a sharecropper. Okay. Even so, they will not, according to Mr. Henry Ford, um, support the population that wants to live on them. In an off season of laborers will have to work in factories, which henceforth are to be counted as among the charming features of the southern landscape. The southern problem is complicated, but at its center a it is the farmer's problem. And this problem is simply the acute most acute version of the general arrogant problem which inspires the despair of many thoughtful Americans today. The arrogant discontent in America is deeply grounded in the love of the teal of the soul, which is probably its most confused, not particular to the southern specimen, but one of more inevitable human attachments, be the teal as progressive as he may. In proposing to wean men from this foolish attachment, industrialism sets itself against the most ancient and the most humane of all the modes of human livelihood. Do Mr. Hoover and the distinguished thinkers at Washington, seeing how essential it is the mutual hatred between the industrialists and the farmers, and how mortal is their conflict. The gentlemen at Washington are mostly preaching and legislating to secure the fabulous blessings of industrial progress. They are on the industrial side. The industrialists have a doctrine which is monstrous, but they are not monsters personally. They are forward thinkers with nice manners, and no American progressiveness is against them. The farmers are boorish and inoculated by comparison. Progressivism is against them in their fight, though their tradition states is still so strong that soft words are spoken to them. All the solutions recommended for their difficulties are readily enticements held out to them to become a little more cooperative, more mechanical, more mobile, in short, a little more industrialized. But the farmer who is not a mere labor but the farmer who is not a mere laborer, even the farmer of a comparatively new place like Iowa and Nebraska, is necessarily among the more stable and the less progressive element of society. He refuses to mobilize himself and become a unit of the industrial army because he does not approve of army life. Interesting. I will use some terms which are hardly in his vernacular. Big word. Okay. He identifies himself with a spot of the ground, and his ground cries a good deal of meaning. Carries a good and this ground carries a good deal of meaning. It defines himself for him as his nature. He would till it not too hurriedly and not too mechanically to observe it in the constancy and the infinite of nature. Oh, big words. Really, really big words. Okay. So his life acquires its philosophical and even its cosmic consciousness. A man can contemplate and explore, respect and love, an object of sustainable as a farm or a native providence. But he cannot contemplate nor explore, respect nor love a mere turnover, such as an assemblage of nature's resources, a pile of money, a volume of product, a market, or a credit system. It is into precisely these intangibles that industrialism would translate the farmer's farm. It means the dehuman oh big word dehumanization of his life. However, that may be the South at last looking defiantly defensively about her in all directions upon this industrial world, fingers the weapons of industrialism. There is one powerful voice in the South which tried for a long statue for a long status of dispute would see the South made at once into a section second to none in wealth, as that is statistically reckoned, and in progressiveness, as that might be estimated by the rapidly of the industrial turnover. This desire depends those. Now my mind's going into Superman. Or, sorry, my mind faded off into uh the the Superboy back in the 90s. Sorry. Okay, let me get back to this. Um, this desire of often this desire those who offends those who would still like to guard the South as, in a old sense, a home, but its expression is loud and in, incident. The urban South, which is heavily important importation of regular American ways and regular American citizens, have nearly capitulate to these novelties. It is the village of the South and the rural South which supply the resistance, and it is lucky for them that they respect a vast quantity of inertia. Inertia. I think that's right. Okay. Will the southern establishment, the most sustainable habitation on the continent of the society of a society of the European and historic order, be completely crumbled by the powerful acid of the great progressive principle? Will there be no more looking forward, but only no looking backward, but only looking forward? Is our new world to dedicate forever to the doctrine of newness? Okay, I'm going to stop here. I got a little bit of more in this thesis of number 6, and then I will be through with this one, and then I'll work on the other one Well, I got a few more pages, but I'll see you in a bit.